Hi, I'm Gary Stearman. I'd like to spend a little bit of time with you today and talk about some really important happenings. Bob Ulrich is with me, and Bob, some important things are happening to prophecy watchers. Before we talk about world events, which are really coming strongly and quickly now, let's talk for a moment about our new studio at Prophecy Watchers, and I can't wait to really get established here and to do what the Lord has called us to do.
This is a momentous day.
It is.
This is our first day in the new studio shooting your first regular commentary and update. It's 152 days since we started off in your family room with literally nothing. We had one camera, we had 2 chairs, we got a table, we started to build an audience, people started to find us, and here we are 152 days later in a beautiful building with a beautiful set here, a set here, a set here, a set in the other room. We have 4 television sets here if we choose to use them. We're fully furnished. Our cameras are here. Our computers are here. Everything's paid for. We're back on television. And on February 28th, we start off on KVTN, Channel 25 in Little Rock. March 3rd, and note that date, we're going to be on DirecTV, on the Dish Network, on the Glory Star satellite. 9 o'clock Eastern Time on DirecTV, I think that's Channel 367, Channel 267 on the Dish Network. So here we are, we're back.
We are back, and we love the thought of being able to regularly greet you via video connections, however they may come into your home, and there are a lot of different ways these days that people are getting video signals, but however you're doing it, we're glad to have you with us. And on a rather dark note, Bob, prophetically speaking, some really terrible things are happening in the world today concerning a group called ISIS. Before we came on today, we were just talking about the immolation of Christians, put in cages and set afire. We're talking about the beheading of Coptic Christians on the beach in Libya. And how do you put all this in perspective? It's horrific. I think it's so horrific that a lot of people would rather not think about it. It's kind of hard to put your mind around, you know?
Well, when you think about some of the reactions from the neighboring countries, I find really interesting. Italy is preparing for battle. I mean,
yes.
There's fear. I mean, there's real fear. They're talking about building a wall in Saudi Arabia
yes.
to keep ISIS out, building a wall to keep these people out. So there is real fear in the air, not only in the Middle East, but now it's spreading into other parts of the world.
Well, I hate to tell the Saudis this, but airplanes fly over walls. So I don't think a wall is the answer. In fact, I don't think there is a military answer. I think the answer is ultimately going to come from God himself. This is an ancient battle. It's a battle of belief. It's a battle of faith. The news media are beginning to call it a religious war. Well, if it's a religious war, it goes back over 1,000 years. It goes back to the first caliphate and the pledge on the part of Islam to capture the world. And that almost happened in the Middle Ages until there was a great series of wars and Islam was beaten back, but they never forgot. They're coming out again, and the individuals who were beheaded on the beach in Libya were basically a message to the Western world. And very few people understand the history here, but a beach in Libya is really a beach in old Carthage. The Romans and the Carthaginians had a series of wars. The Carthaginians on the south side of the Mediterranean, alongside Egypt, and Rome on the north side of the Mediterranean had a series of battles. And it was Carthage versus Rome, Carthage versus Rome. The Romans finally beat the Carthaginians. And Carthage became known in our day as Libya. But you stand on the beach and execute 14 people and send the message, next we're coming to Rome. What you're doing is saying the old battle between the Carthaginians and the Romans is going to be rejoined, and this time we're going to beat the Romans. Well, the Italians are reacting by arming themselves, what can you say, Bob?
Who else would know this but you, Gary? I'm sitting here getting an education for the first time. I should have paid attention in American history class. But it's an old battle, isn't it?
It's an old battle, and it's a battle to reestablish what is called the Islamic State. And the Islamic State is really a restructuring of the old Ottoman Empire, which went from 1299 to 1923. In the year 1923, the old Ottoman Empire, which was an Islamic state, that covered the Middle East, it covered Turkey, it covered a lot of the area up into Byzantium, finally came to an end in 1923. And from that point to the present day, the Islamic forces have not forgotten. We are going to reestablish the empire, and they're calling it ISIS, but lately it's been called ISIL. ISIS, Bob, ISIS, which kind of rolls off the tongue because there's a goddess by that name. But ISIS is the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. It's a limited area, if you will. It covers Syria, Iraq. It's called the Islamic State, but lately now, and a lot of people internationally, including our own president in an address a few days ago, called it ISIL, I-S-I-L, the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant. Well, the Levant encompasses much more territory, the territory all the way from Lebanon down the coast of the Mediterranean all the way into Egypt, the Levant. It is the seacoast of the Mediterranean, which just happens to be Israel. And so if you say we are the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, that means everything from Iran all the way down to the Mediterranean Sea is ours. And this is being acknowledged now in the United Nations with the acknowledgement of the term ISIL. So we've got the reignition of a global war right now, exactly based on the old wars of the Dark Ages.
It's already started, hasn't it?
It's already started.
And we see Jordan in a state of panic over, a pilot, being burned alive and attacking. So all of the countries, it brings to memory my old background 20 years ago as a real estate developer, and I'm sure you've heard the story about a big casino going in Las Vegas, and this one little old lady who just refuses to sell. And she was born there, she's going to die there, she's not moving. They offer her $200,000, she says no. They offer her $500,000, $1 million, $2.5 million, $4 million, and she still won't move. It all becomes about her. How do we get rid of her? And isn't that what's really going on in the Middle East right now with ISIS? There's one common enemy that is shared, and it's the little tiny nation of Israel.
And by the way, Benjamin Netanyahu is not yielding 1 inch. In fact, what he's doing is making an international announcement, an invitation, if you will, to all oppressed Jews in Europe, come home to Israel. You're being oppressed in France, come home to Israel. Being oppressed in Northern Europe, come home to Israel. And of course, the United Nations hates him for that. The United States hates him for making that proclamation. Because in doing so, he's basically saying the rest of the world is not going to protect the Jews. The only way you are going to find protection is to come home to Israel.
Gary, that is astonishing. I mean, stop and think about it. We're going through another future Holocaust. I mean,
Yes,
we're
we are.
watching this in Europe right now, where this animosity and vitriol towards the Jewish people is reaching a fever pitch. Once again, who would ever think that we would ever see this? The reason Israel became a nation again, the reason they got a state, is because of guilt. The world was so guilty over what they did to the Jews in the Holocaust that they finally acquiesced. You know who cast the final vote in the United Nations for Israel to become a nation? It was Russia. How ironic is that?
Wow.
And here we have Gog and Magog, maybe not too far off.
Maybe not too far off. Zechariah chapter 12, which I often read, talks about a prophecy that comes straight from the mouth of the Lord himself. Behold, I'll make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all the people round about, when they shall be in siege both against Judah and against Jerusalem. It's happening, Bob. We're there. This prophecy is visible now. ISIL, I-S-I-L, the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant. ISIL. Wow.
Unprecedented what we're seeing right
It is
now.
absolutely unprecedented on several levels, including the vicious, cruel actions of an enemy brazenly calling attention to itself and saying, stop us if you can. We don't think you can.
The worst manifestations of human evil, are happening right before our eyes. You actually see the evil spirit of mankind.
Well, we have the moral courage to stand up. A lot of people didn't in World War II. 1939, 1940, when Hitler came after the Jews, the world looked the other way. What's going to happen this time? Well, that's a question we'll be dealing with many times over and over again in the coming days. And I wish we had a little bit more time than we do, Bob. But let's round things out on a bit of an upbeat note here. The ministry of Prophecy Watchers. We're dedicated to spreading the gospel. We're dedicated to basically teaching the principles of salvation as they intermesh with dispensational, premillennial, pre-tribulational Bible prophecy. And we're very thankful to be able to sit here and say to you that we're going to become, as the Lord allows, we're going to be coming to you with prophetic Bible studies week after week. And we've got many already filmed right now and ready to bring your way. And we've got some exciting announcements to make in the very near future.
We're reaching out with these commentaries that you're going to begin doing on a regular basis now, right from our new studio. We're starting these now, and most of the people who are watching, I suspect, are probably born-again Christians. They understand the times which we live. They tune in for encouragement. They want to hear about the blessed hope. They want to hear about the updates. They want to hear that Jesus is coming soon. But when we go on DirecTV, when we go on the Dish Network, we're reaching into almost 40 million homes. People all over the country. The Glory Star satellite that we're on reaches into Central America, reaches into Mexico, reaches into Canada. We're going to be up in Cleveland, Ohio. We're going to be down in Tampa. We're going to be out in Denver. We're going to be in Albuquerque, Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids, all these places that we're reaching. We're not looking to preach to the choir. We're looking to reach the lost and let people know that we're at a time right now that the Bible prophesied 2,500 years ago. Here we are. We're watching ISIS. This is happening right before us. So, it's exciting to realize that we're going to have an opportunity to evangelize these people. And your mission statement that's up on our website, prophecywatchers.com, I think really nails what we're really trying to do here at our ministry.
Indeed, and we'll talk more about that as time allows in the future. Also, one of the things, Bob, that I'm really looking forward to is having some guests in over the next few weeks and months who are at the cutting edge of prophetic Bible study. We love to invite men who are students of Bible prophecy, who are writers and teachers. We talk about very deep subjects. We get deeply into Bible prophecy. So
I'm glad you said that, because you're going to see the old faces, but you're going to see a lot of new faces. And they're on the way. We've already had some guests here. We've shot some programs. Television is a great medium to reach into places that you could never reach any other way. Literally, you show up in someone's family room. Tuesday night at 9 o'clock following Sid Roth, that's Eastern time, we're going to be aired to over 30 million people on DirecTV, and only the Lord knows who's watching. Now, the cost of all that is extreme, and I've got to tell you something. A few weeks ago, we were given a $100,000 matching gift from a good friend of our ministry who realizes that time is short. Time is running out, and he said, I want you guys back on TV now. I don't want you back 3 months from now, 6 months from now. He has pledged $100,000. We've not gotten it yet. It's a matching gift. And this is why we're coming into people's homes on DirecTV and on Dish. It's very expensive. Some of the satellite stations that people want us to go on, it's $30,000 or $40,000 a month.
Right.
And the average viewer doesn't understand that the stations don't pay us for our content. We pay them for their our audience, for their audience. And so we're at a point here where we're about a third of the way into that matching gift. We've already had over $30,000 donated, which is spectacular. Got another $70,000 to go before we actually get all of those funds. They come in pieces and are parceled out over time. And we came up with a way where you can help us and where we can help you. Going to Israel March 15th. We'll be there for 10 days, taking our cameraman Tyler Wood with us and Daniel Wright, Avi Lipkin, tour guides. We're going to photograph on video our entire trip. And I think it's going to be spectacular. We don't really know at this point what's going to be on it, but we do know we're going to create a DVD of the trip. We're going to offer it to you for a donation of any amount to our ministry. Now, keep in mind, it's going to cost us about $6 just to mail it to you here in America, about $20 to send it overseas. But we would love for you to help us get this ministry off the ground. We really want to take advantage of that matching gift. It's out there for us. We just are waiting on the Lord and waiting on you to help us.
Bob, the challenge lies before us, but I think our way is clear. At the times in which we live, the situation in which we find ourselves, we are absolutely motivated to bring you the latest word, the most insightful presentation possible of Bible prophecy, fundamental, dispensational, premillennial Bible prophecy. Good talking to you today.
It's good stepping out on faith and being challenged by the Lord. It's always an adventure, isn't it?
You said it. I'm Gary Stearman. Keep watching, everybody. We are.